Welcome to the English classes with Asha VN. Today we are going to do on the poem Fog written by Carl Sandburg. Carl Sandburg describes Fog's silent gradual arrival and departure by comparing it to a cat. What is fog? Fog is a thick cloud of tiny water droplets present in the atmosphere. It is generally seen during the winter season. Let us first listen to the poem written by Carl Sandburg. It's a 6-line poem. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. Here in the poem, the poet describes the advancement of fog towards the city and the harbor. He says that the fog comes like a cat on its little feet. This means the fog advances towards the city very slowly and calmly, just like a cat. One never knows how and when the fog will enter the city. Therefore, the fog is compared to the cat which enters our home in an unpredictable manner. Next, he says that the fog sits over the whole city as a cat sits on haunches. What does the word haunch mean? It means sitting with the knees bent, just as a cat sits silently by folding her legs behind itself and looking around the nearby places and things. Similarly, the fog silently covers the whole city and the harbor and is sitting over them looking around. After a while, the fog leaves the city and moves on. The poet says so because it is a natural phenomenon that the fog does not stay at a place for long. It leaves the place after a few hours. So, here also, the poet says, just like a cat, the fog leaves the place very silently without being noticed by anyone. Now let us try to understand the poetic devices used in this poem. The poem does not have any rhyme scheme since it is a free verse poem. The lines, it sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on, are examples of the use of enjambment. Here we can see that these lines are not punctuated. The poet makes use of metaphors in the poem to draw comparisons between nature and a cat. He also compares the behavioral movement of both fog settled over the city compared to a cat sitting on its hind legs. The poet compares the fog leaving the city is just like a cat leaving a place quietly. Comparison of a fog to a cat is an analogy used throughout the poem. He makes use of personification. The words, it sits looking over harbor and city, are an example of personification, where we can see the fog, which is a thing, has been shown doing actions of sitting and looking, just like how human beings do. The fog comes on, sits looking, moves on, invoke imagery of movement in the poem. They create an image of the fog entering, settling over, and then finally moving away from the city. Here we can see the use of transferred epithet. Transferred epithet is a use of an adjective or a phrase that describes a noun to modify another noun in the sentence. In the phrase, the silent haunches, the adjective silent is transferred from the fog to the haunches, describing the way a cat sits in a quiet manner, rather than the haunches themselves being silent. With this, we come to the end of this short poem. See you next with a new topic. Till then, bye.